we'll begin our Macro Monday video or call. But I guess I don't know. I guess it'd be for the people watching the video, it'd be Macro Monday. But the people on the in the chart program watching it live, I guess it'd be a Sunday call. So either or. But first, we'll go to Bitcoin starts off because we are tanking. Although it doesn't say that right now, but we are. Past week, we did absolutely reject that wave E. The daily was not a good sign so far for Bitcoin. When we're expecting a bear flag, then it's definitely not bullish. Intermediate term for Bitcoin. Long term, still bullish, but this could push us back down to 49K, like I've been preaching on almost every single call for Bitcoin now. So still waiting on that, but we are still respecting the spare flag, so I do not expect higher for Bitcoin. So that is definitely something I'm going to be looking at lower for, especially crypto stocks. All right, so right now Bitcoin was tanking because of the ceasefire deal being broken, and now Trump going back to war with Iran, and then the Strait of Hormuz being closed. So definitely a tricky situation we're in because it was open, now it's been closed again, now it's been open, now it's closed again, and it's been going back and forth to these ceasefires. So who knows what's really going to happen? But as of right now, it doesn't look good. So Bitcoin's definitely bearish. Yes, and after hours is down a 0.5%, which is nothing crazy. But let's see Monday open. We are reclaiming really fast though, so we could end up bouncing back really fast. But we'll just have to see it Monday open. Now, what I'm looking at is kind of like how I posted inside the deep dive inside the chart program. We're looking at a all-time high manipulation leg, okay, where we get that double top for manipulation leg, where this week can either be very bloody and form that manipulation leg, or we just keep going higher, right? So until we form that manipulation leg and we start dumping this week for ES, then I'm going to remain bullish. So until we actually start dumping, I'm going to remain bullish for another leg higher. And the reason I say that is because of NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has not had its wave E, all right? It needs to go to 234 for wave E, right? And so once NVIDIA can reach that, then we can start looking at a serious pullback, right? Before we did break out, but it was more of a false breakout, and it was also wave D, so we really did still want that wave E, and which we're now getting. So I think the market does go higher to that wave E target. So does that necessarily mean it's a manipulation leg? I don't think so. That's not going to be my base case, my main case, right? But you still need to watch that manipulation leg, right? If we start manipulating this all-time high, because this RSI is still bearish and it's still holding this bearish RSI divergence, right? Then if we start making that manipulation leg, definitely need to watch it. But as of right now, we're going to go for another leg higher just for NVIDIA, right? Just off the NVIDIA chart, kind of shows that SPY and ES is going to go higher until that wave B, right? But again, manipulation leg, watch it, because if it does manipulate, then that can change the thesis really fast. So definitely pay attention to that. But I do expect another leg higher, not a super leg higher, not like a new bull market or nothing. I think it's just gonna be a small leg higher, just for that wavy. Now this can happen really fast. I mean, this happened in 2 weeks of just being extremely bullish and soaring for Nvidia, or it can be a really slow process, and then it might actually be a longer term leg higher. But I don't think so. I think this is going to be a very violent wavy, and then we're just going to fold over. So that is definitely something I'm watching for NVIDIA. Amazon still near an all-time high. Microsoft going up for wave B. Apple does look kind of bullish now with this wedge, which if this plays out, this would signal wave 4. So I would have to make the chart for this and see how that lines up. I mean, it could line up like this, I guess. Yeah, I guess it could line up like this. And then trend base fib. But that is really pushing. That is that's a pretty tall wave 5 for the small move that we're expecting to happen. So we'll see. But that is a extended target if we want to go to that level. But 343 is possible. Apple would have to really start to soar. So I know people have been talking about having, a last final push to the market that's going to be super, super volatile. This could be it. Nvidia just absolutely ripping to that wave V. I like it how it has been for the past 2 weeks, right? And then Apple does the same thing to that wave 5 target. That could play out, but that's still a really big target, right? Something else is going to happen. I don't know, but that does seem really high for Apple. So that's not going to be my base case, but if the market does go higher and we don't actually pull back, then that can happen. But I think that's a big stretch compared to what Nvidia has to do. I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's a little bit bigger than Nvidia, but I guess they're not. It's not too far. But it's Nvidia, that is Apple. Google is back to all-time high. Consolidate. Meta could be wave B. Tesla wave B, resistance at 454. That's from looking at for our main target for Tesla for this wave B. So overall, I mean, nothing much has changed, but still very, very cautious in the market and watching this all-time high sweep. But as of right now, another leg higher is possible. That's why I was entering longs. Now, I'm gonna break down some longs because I was wrong on one position, and that was Galaxy. I will most likely, I don't know. I'll see Monday open and see where we're at. But Galaxy is a name that I might have to liquidate Monday morning, possibly later in the week. It really depends where it opens at. Right now in after hours, it is down 5%, which is not a big deal at all. I mean, I'm up a decent amount on this already, but because TradingView didn't really. I mean, it's my fault for not doing enough research, but TradingView didn't really give it enough details on the company. But it says investment banks and brokers, and then when I scrolled down, I saw Dason. I probably should have read the entire thing. Oh, although it doesn't even mention Bitcoin anywhere on here. Maybe I go deeper. No. Oh wait. Yeah. No. So yeah, it doesn't even mention Bitcoin. That it says data center and infrastructure, so I assume it's AI data center. I'm an idiot because it wasn't that at all. But it is actually just Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is bearish now. We are respecting this bear flag. So now we know, since we are absolutely respecting this bear flag over the weekend, now Galaxy most likely would not be good. In order for Galaxy to see its wave 5, Bitcoin has to ignore this bear flag and pump even higher, which is possible. If we do see that massive rally in the stock market, maybe Bitcoin does follow along with it. But we're fighting this chart that is playing out. So to me, it just seems risky to hold Galaxy. Don't get me wrong. If it was not related to Bitcoin, this would be an A plus plus up, falling wedge. We already had an A, B, C, D, E, held the buy zone, perfect fib bounce. Retest levels at 21.36, wave five, subwave 5 to main wave 3 is up there at $49 to $55. Still does look good. However, if Bitcoin does not go higher, Galaxy will not go higher, right? I'm pretty bearish on Bitcoin. So, but my average is pretty good. So we'll see. I'll probably write it to break even or maybe a small loss, just to see how we react to that retest level. Because if the market really does go for another leg higher, Bitcoin could follow along with it and invalidate this bear flag, right? There was a thesis that I think Luke Davis said, and that is everyone is expecting lower for Bitcoin, right? I did a poll, and that is true. I did a poll. Majority of people were expecting lower, and they're not buying long term, right? And if you watch the roundtable part 2, you can see that some of the one of the traders we had on also wasn't long in Bitcoin, right? They were still waiting for lower, right? They're waiting for lower, and because they're also expecting, kind of like how I went over, they're expecting the same thing to happen like the last bear market, right? How we had, this accumulation, we had this bear flag, we took out that major low, right? Same thing that I've been preaching, right? And which I still think will happen because that's what the chart says, right? I have to go against my own chart analysis and saying that, right? Saying that we're going to go higher, which I don't think we will, just because the chart says we'll go lower, right? Which means we'll get an exact copy of what we had last time. However, if the market does rip higher, Bitcoin may and may not follow. I mean, Bitcoin was in a bear market before SPY was, right? Way before SPY was. So, Bitcoin may not even go up when SPY soars, if it soars, right? So, that's definitely something to keep in consideration. But what he kind of explained was that it's really hard. It's really hard to articulate it, but is if everyone's waiting to buy lower, then Bitcoin may just soar now, so it can use those people who are waiting to FOMO in to use that as, I guess you can say, more buying liquidity when we're halfway at the move to go back to all-time high, right? Because if all the buyers got the exact bottom, that means there's no buyers to push us up even higher, right? So you have to leave people on the sidelines so they can FOMO into their positions. So if people are waiting for lower, like 49K, and they get that, then where are the buyers when we actually reach, start going higher, right? We don't get that, right? So that is a possibility, but I'm not going to be acting on that. I do think we see 49K. Doesn't mean I'm not buying Bitcoin. I'm absolutely am. I'm buying Bitcoin long term for sure. I bought some just last week, about a whole bunch, right? However, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll hold Galaxy, because Galaxy is just a leveraged Bitcoin. So it's definitely not something that I'm going to be wanting to hold. Going to a possible bearish Bitcoin push. So I may end up liquidating this week. I'm going to have to play it by ear and see how we open. I know it's down 5% now. It could change. It could be better. It could be worse. We'll have to see. I'll have to review my average again, but I know I'm up to do some amount on this. So I'll definitely be looking to trend this just because it's bearish on Bitcoin. Unless, something crazy happens before market open tomorrow and then, Bitcoin starts soaring again, right? But until then, I'm probably going to end up liquidating Galaxy, or at least trimming a major amount until we actually break the structure. But as of right now, I was definitely wrong in this Galaxy play. So kind of dumb. I feel dumb. I should have done more research on it. But I just looked at the chart, read the description, and thought it was a data center. So I was definitely wrong. but but anyways, now back to CVI. So CVI, we do have this falling wedge, and yes, I know we had that false breakout or manipulation leg because of that war, that ceasefire deal. But as you can see, we did not break this falling wedge, right? We are still inside this falling wedge. We had a false breakout. Doesn't necessarily mean too much. It can be, definitely cannot, it can be a bad sign, but as we can see that we are holding it, right? So we are still holding it. And the reason that we haven't sold everything for CVI is because of oil, right? Because it's oil. CVI isn't its own stock, right? Like Rocket Lab, Nimbus, no, not Galaxy. Rocket Lab and Nimbus are its own stock. It doesn't rely on something else. Galaxy relies on Bitcoin. CVI relies on oil. So just because the CVI chart doesn't look the best, or I mean it does, but just because something happens on the chart doesn't necessarily mean anything, because we got to look at oil. And when we look at oil, we are now pushing higher. Well, now we're falling from the high, but we were pushing higher due to the ceasefire deal being broken and then the Strait of Hormuz being closed. So do I think oil is going to go much lower? No, I still think we're going to respect this wedge and hopefully break pretty soon so we can see a new high for oil at 120. And if we compare this to 2020, 2020 had that massive spike high. Like if we compare this, because someone said this to me, I never tested it, but we're about to find out. So yeah, so oil has been trading higher ever since COVID, right? It's been trading higher and higher ever since COVID. But not now, but like during this period, like ever since COVID, it starts trading higher, and then right before that 2022 correction, oil did skyrocket, right? You notice SPY didn't go down when it skyrocketed. It did skyrocket, giving that red flag. We tanked, and that massive push down for oil was a trap. Right before, we just had a massive push higher, and then oil peaked near the 2022 top, near it, about halfway down, right? So we could expect the same thing, right? I mean, we had that massive push higher, and now we're getting that massive crash as SPY is making it an all-time high, right? So I think, if oil can break out this falling wedge and we start pushing higher for oil, that could then signal the top in the market, which will give it time. It will give the market time to push higher for Nvidia, push higher for Apple, and stuff like that, right? Now, that may not be extremely bullish for our CVI position. It's not bearish at all because there's still this falling wedge. So as long as we respect it, CVI will be bullish. But that doesn't necessarily mean it will break this week, right? We may consolidate here for a while, right? So this falling wedge can still be in play as we consolidate. So So yeah, so CVI relies on oil. So as long as oil is bullish, CVI is bullish. But we'll have to see how it plays out. But I do expect oil to be kind of choppy or have a slow move higher. I don't think it's gonna be like a straight up move, but I think it's gonna be a very slow take higher for oil, which will push CVI higher and then probably eventually push the market back down. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for both of them to be bullish at the same time, but not crazy. Once oil starts freaking skyrocketing back to new highs, that's not gonna be good for the market. So I want oil to slowly take higher for the market to feed the CVI position. But that CVI, this Galaxy Rocket Lab played out really nicely. We did trim a lot of Rocket Lab. This was just a small swing trade. It wasn't nothing crazy. No, extremely bullish charts like Nimbus or anything like that. It was just a manipulation play here for AMD setup just to target these highs at $78 and to see that red zone. And that's where we're at now. I hold a small amount of my position, but not much. Nimbus, same thing. Kind of rejecting that wave 5. It's not looking too hot, but and especially now since the market's kind of going down in after hours, but we'll have to see Monday open. But Nimbus is down, I think, 1.5% after hours right now. Ooh. And then Rocket Lab was down, I believe, 2.5%, I believe. Galaxy was down 5, and then CVI doesn't. We don't know. CVI is too much of a small cap to know. But so far, it's definitely the market is definitely bleeding. Are yields open right now? Yeah. We had a gap up on yields. Okay, but nothing crazy for yields either. Again, the same thesis with oil. We're still bullish on yields. Want to get break higher, make some new highs. That would be good for our TLT put, which we still hold. So that is definitely something we're going to be watching this week. But overall, nothing's. I'm not really expecting much this week other than just oil to remain where it's at, basically consolidate within this wedge. Same thing with CVI. Same thing with the yields. SPY just ideally would want to see they keep pushing higher, but we'll just have to play it by ear and see. Uh, it does like that Bitcoin, is going to go down because Galaxy, but unfortunately we are respecting this bear flag. So as long as we respect this, Galaxy is not that great right now. EOC, I do have something. Actually, let me check EOC right now because if I go to Robinhood, EOC may not have a after hours, but I'm just gonna check it just to find out. No, it doesn't. Okay, well, we don't know. But as of right now, EOC did see the main target of this falling wedge, rejecting this EMA, and it looks like we could pull back to either $6 to test this bottom EMA, or we could retest the retest level for this breakout, right? Go back down to 49, which is definitely possible. That would be ideal since we are seeing this gap, we are seeing this main target for this wedge and rejecting EMA. Big resistance here. But this will give us a better opportunity to buy more long term, right? Because EOC long term does look really well, really good, right? If we mark this with the fib, you can see that we are bouncing at that 78% fib absolutely perfectly, right? So EOC long term is really good. UNH also is pretty good. SoFi not so much. It can be. I mean, we are at support, but it just didn't have any clean. It's just rejecting. No downside wicks here. It's just not good structure. So SoFi is something I probably wouldn't be looking at. It looks like a wave B pump in my opinion, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, UNH, EOSC, mainly EOSC, high risk, long term play. Um, let's look at the dollar. Dollar's holding the trend line breakout level, so dollar still looks bullish. Um, yeah, that's basically it. There's nothing crazy on this call. I think I updated basically almost everything inside the chart program already, but yeah, that's basically what I was looking at. If y'all have any tickers you want me to cover, you can just drop in chat and I'll look at it. And drop in main chat so I can actually see it. But I'll give you a second to do that. I guess in the meantime, let's break down some more. Let's see. I haven't scrolled down my list of stocks in a long time. Let's see. AMD, what are we doing for AMD? Making new highs. That's pretty good. Still looks bullish long term to 479. However, I really do want that gap to be filled. So, and we did not fill it, and it looks like we're not going to fill it, which is kind of crazy because that was a massive gap, and we accumulated for so long. But oh well. Let's see. Celsius. I haven't looked at Celsius in a long time. Oh yeah. So we just went lower. Baba. Yeah, I can look at Baba. This is also one thing to look at when we're looking at charts, right? When we're looking at like the wave, when we see move down, if there is not a clear B wave, that's definitely a red flag. Doesn't necessarily mean it's not the bottom, but it's definitely a red flag, right? So you definitely want a clear B wave, and that's what Celsius just made, right? A clear B wave here, and now we're back at the buy zone that had originally that we're now bouncing at. So that's good. Most I think had it originally. I don't know. I already saw the buy zone here, but um, ASTS. I think someone went. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Someone wanted ASTS a few days ago, but yeah, no, rejecting the purple zone, not great, not great. Now let's look at BAB. I haven't looked at this name in a very long time. Actually, I don't think it's named my stock. No, I guess it is. Oh yeah, it's right there. Um, it was actually kind of playing out. I mean, I know we're going down right now, but we're still doesn't necessarily mean we can't see that wave through target. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't think it's a wedge. But so far, it looks like ABC on a smaller time frame. This could be. Ooh, what just happened? Ooh. This could be wave 3 right here, and this is wave 4. It could be. Let me check this with the trend-based fib. Nah, that's too small. Yeah, I think it's like that. Okay, that actually could play out. Now let's look at wave 2. A little bit below the 60% fib, so this could be the same thing. Yep, 60% fib bounce. All right, perfect. Now let's try to find wave 5. Purple zone. We're back at the purple zone. Nice. Which will line up with this wave 3. Let's see where this lines up. Yeah, we're extended, so that'd be the extended wave 3. Unless you can justify this entire thing being wave 1. Whoa, that is the 50% fib that we are rejecting. Hmm. And then we go down for wave 2. That's a possibility. Um, 1, 2, but if we do that, then yeah, it doesn't make sense. Actually, you know what? I think it's gonna be the same level. I think it's gonna be the exact same. Yeah. Okay. So even if we do it like this, we are still bouncing at that 50% fib, right? So overall, the wave 2 would still be near this buy zone. This would be the actual buy zone right here. So regardless, I mean, yes, the odds say we'll most likely push down to like 110. So it really depends on if Babel wants to reject its resistance, make new lows here at 110. But overall, we are still seeing that buy zone, so that is pretty good. Um, let's see, RSI. There is a hidden bullish RSI divergence here, which is very rare, but there is one. Yeah. Yeah, there's not even a bearish RSI divergence on top of it either. Yeah, so there's a hidden bullish RSI divergence. That is a good sign. Less likely it plays out, but it is one. Um, this does look good. Now I'm just trying to think. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think this was most likely to play out. I think this entire move is wave 1 because this was a correction, right? And then that 50% fib would be wave 1. So this is most likely wave 2, especially since we have very, very, very clear ABC down, right? So very clear ABC down. Looks like we could start pushing for wave 3, but in order for this to be justified, that's going to have to assume that. I think it moved. That's going to have to assume that um, China stocks like Baba is going to go higher during a market pullback, right? So they're going U.S. stock market pullback, right? So I've heard people say that China stocks are a hedge against the U.S. stock market. I don't know how true that is, but if you do believe in that, which for some reason I think I remember doing it, back testing it, and it was false. But I could be wrong. I don't know much about that. But if if China stocks do act as a hedge, like I think it's what the long investor was preaching about a few months ago or last year, then we could push up for this wave three. The chart does look good for that. Let's anything on the daily. No, we're extended, so we definitely could pull back to these EMAs, but yeah, there's a bullish R side divergence here. So with a falling wedge. So this was definitely a very clean setup to be watching, for sure. Yeah, very clean setup here. Falling wedge with a bullish R side divergence was definitely something good that you could have been entering off of that buy zone for either the old chart that I had or this chart right here. Either way, that's why I like my strategy. Like a lot of people use the early and use it the wrong way, but if you use it how I preach, then even if your charts are wrong, almost every single time, you always buy in the exact same location, right? So even if you assume this was an extended wave three, which very well could be, or if this was a wave one and a wave two, you still are buying at the exact same spot, right? So nothing has changed here other than the count, but all the levels are the same, right? I can remove this purple zone because we rejected that 50% fib, which what I'm thinking, I think my chart got moved, and I think we did reject the purple zone. I think the chart got moved because the all-time high was not the all-time high. Trade view sometimes breaks. I don't know why, and since I didn't check BABA in a long time, it probably my trade view probably broke, and I didn't fix it since I haven't looked at it in a long time. That's probably what happened. We probably did reject that purple zone because the purple zone always is at that. Yeah, we have literally a bearish for value gap right here at that 50% fib. So I think the chart just got moved, but anyways, regardless, we are seeing at this zone right now. Wave 3 target is at all-time high. A little bit above all-time high. That zone's also not right anymore. I'll just target all-time high. So all-time high is at 303. So that's definitely something I'll be looking for our main target. But it is, a pretty far stretch if the market does go for a pullback. But, that's just something we'll have to do some research on, right? Because if HSI, because HSI still looks bullish. I mean, doesn't necessarily look bearish at all. But we still need to go see that main subwave 5 and main wave 5, right? So we still need to see that, which could be bullish for BABA. But, like if you just add SPY to this chart, it just looks like a direct copy of SPY, a worse copy of SPY. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm not really seeing. I'm gonna go to 2008. Maybe I'm missing something. No, no, definitely not missing something. Yeah, so in order for Baba to see those targets, SPY is going to have to go for a huge rally, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, anything's possible. I could be completely wrong, and we do not pull back at all, right? And if that happens, then yes, Baba would see those targets. But if SPY pulls back like we think it will, like Lau showed you in the video, then Baba will not see that wave three. So it's something you can look at. Is it worth entering a position here? Because if you don't, then you are ignoring the chart. The chart is telling you to buy, then maybe you should buy. But I guess whenever SPY starts to roll over, then you could look to exit. But so I guess you could enter BABA until SPY starts actually rolling over, because again, you want to trust your tools and trust your instruments. So as of right now, SPY is making new highs, although it's still there's a lot of red flags here with this bearish short side divergence, and this war is still not solved, and oil still pushing higher. But until the market actually starts showing some more bearish signs and actually starts confirming it, then longs are the play. That's kind of why I was longing CVI, Galaxy, Rocket Lab, and Nimbus. I'll probably rotate Galaxy into something else, but yeah, that's Baba. So if y'all have any more, then just drop it back into the chat. But yeah, no, Baba was a good one. Yeah, definitely need to check that one out. What is something else? Let's see, what else? I haven't looked at Elf in a long time. What's happening with Elf? Oh, just still seeing the Bison. Iran. Ooh, Iran broke out. What is Iran? Is that crypto or is that just data center AI? I don't think that's Bitcoin. I think just regular data centers. Oh no, it is Bitcoin. Okay. Well, Iran also looks really good, but again, if it's Bitcoin, let's find out. Because for some reason, I didn't think it was. Oh no, it is. Yeah, that's literally just a direct copy of Bitcoin. So Dave, yeah, I can look at Dave. But yeah, so this is the tricky part, right? Iran looks really good, Galaxy looks really good, but Bitcoin just doesn't. So it's like it's a little tricky. I mean, oh, you know what? Actually, not if it looks like this, and we actually didn't break out. If we didn't break out, yeah, it could look like this. Even though the weekly definitely looks like it's breaking out on the weekly 100%. 100% definitely looks like it's like this. But, there's still a possibility. There's still a possibility it looks like this. And now we're rejecting. And then we go down to form that higher low around $40, $38 to $40. Although it still doesn't justify the Bitcoin chart because it would go much lower if Bitcoin set its main target. So, it's a very tricky scenario, right? A lot of crypto stocks are screaming bullish for their like higher while Bitcoin doesn't. So something's wrong here. But what I do know is we had this exact same problem in 2025, I think, early 2025, I think 2024, the end of 2024, where Riot and a lot of other crypto stocks were looking bullish, but Bitcoin is bearish. And Bitcoin did win that fight. So I am not going to fight it. Now, what was it? Dave? Yeah, I'm going to look at Dave. It is a very tricky situation that we're in, because it kind of sucks not buying anything, it playing out. So it's like, I don't know. That's really tricky. But Dave. Ooh, that's playing out perfect. Okay. Extended wave three. Yeah, extended wave three. Have that wave four. And by the way, we knew this was extended because of this wedge. Wedges only happen on wave four. So looks like it's more extended to me than this being wave three. But we did get a breakout. Let's go to the daily. Yep, yeah. Everything looks good. We don't have a retest on the weekly, however, so we would want to see a retest, which we very well might get it in after hours, especially right now since the market is kind of pointing back. Actually, let me look it up right now. Dave is down 0.7%, so definitely not enough. Yeah, so it's basically break even. But yeah, we do need to see retest for this breakout level, but definitely looks good. The minimum target is 286, but red zone's sitting at 320 to 400. So yeah, Dave looks good. Higher low went deeper than normal, which is actually really rare. But we didn't touch the bottom. We didn't touch the bottom of this wedge. So overall, yeah, Dave still looks good. Yeah. Is there any more? Any more? Riot does. I was going over this with one of my clients this morning in our coaching call, and Riot does look really, really good long term. Like if you're looking to bet on something for long term, for crypto related, then Riot definitely looks good. Although I still expect Bitcoin to pull back. So this is the tricky part. This is weird. It's really weird that crypto stocks look extremely bullish while Bitcoin doesn't. Because if Bitcoin does go to 49K, then Riot is just gonna make a new low, which is gonna validate the bullish chart, which is gonna be really annoying, right? Because right now it's just been. I guess it can go sideways. I mean, I guess it can go sideways, but I doubt it. It's probably just gonna turn bearish. So, it's I'm really leaning and want to lean that Bitcoin is actually gonna go higher, kind of like how I think what Luke Davis was saying. But it's fight. I have to fight the chart, and I just can't do that. So I think all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ride my Galaxy to break even or a small loss and just play the setup and just manage risk really well. But I mean, Riot, yeah, that's tricky. It's definitely tricky if you should buy Riot here or not. But that's just, I guess that'd be your personal call. If you're trying to enter stocks, crypto related like Robinhood and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Iran, Riot, Hood, Coinbase, Galaxy all look really bullish, while Bitcoin doesn't. Grab, make a new lows. Bros, I haven't looked at Bros in forever. We're still in this wedge. Dang, that's crazy. But if there is no more tickers with me chart, then I guess I'll end this one here. This I felt like this call was kind of crappy, but not much to really cover. They don't really have anything to say, but yeah. So I'll see y'all Monday morning at open.